All right, so this is the Jardín de Aibonito, the Garden of Aibonito intro tour. We've done a little bit of stuff already, and we're excited to share what those are. A couple of things, but for the most part, things haven't changed a whole lot. So this is going to be a look at what the property is like when we first arrived. And so it's it's a bit wild, and we're gonna try to give you an image of the soil and the plants and what it is. So it's gonna be a bit of a long form video this time, no short quick thing, but that's so that we can always look back at this video and see how things have changed over time, and we're super excited. So without further ado, I'm gonna flip this camera around and let's get started on the tour. All right, we got the main road, goes around that way. Everything that way is now our land, part of the garden. Continues on, and everything that side is also part of the garden, and it goes around the bend. This is the entrance, la entrada. It used to be a lot more vegetated, but between my wife and I, we cleared this out a lot. We got handy dandy scoots, good scoots. Now this is the biggest difficulty of the entrance. When we arrived, there weren't even the rocks here. The government had apparently pulled out a water drainage pipe, and that left this little strip of ground about to collapse. So we've been reinforcing it with a bunch of rocks to allow water to go through, but our neighbor had us call a guy, or he called a guy, and came and looked at it, and he thinks he's just gonna put a new pipe in and fix this up in the next couple of days, and we'll have to see what that looks like. But then it continues on, a little bit of an incline up this way. So far it's just a walking path. We'd even struggle to get scoots up here. But when we get to the top here, we will see the first flat. Oh, so impressive. LOL. Okay. We've got marked in rocks a 12-foot diameter circle that's going to be our first construction project, where we build a little shelter room type thing that my wife and I can stay in. We've got a shaded flat continuation. We've got mandarin orange in here. We've got some Cuban oregano right down there. And then there's perennial peanut right back there, trying to get established. We've chopped off these leucaena, and they're just starting to come back. We've got a cliff face. That's going to go on up to the second flat. We've got where we set up our base camp, bring in tools and plants and everything. Back here, we've got acerola or Barbados cherry, and then a little bit of perennial peanut at the base, and a lot of mulch clippings around it. Some aloe that our neighbor gave us. Then in little incremental patches, like right here, right there, and further, there's Spanish moss, just like mulch marking, where we've put in some yucca. We continue around the flat. So a lot of the grass is either this foot-high stuff that's really not bad, or it's this 4-foot-high stuff, which is great for taking hedge shears to and then getting some quick mulch. And we've used a little bit of it here right around this soursop or the guanabana tree, and some more perennial peanut to hopefully be as a ground cover if the neighbor's sheep don't eat it. And then we've got this kind of pseudo ramp up to the next flat. So we're going up, more 4-foot grass, and that is a steep decline that we were wondering if that would originally have to be our entrance. But no, the other one is much better. We got my wife over there. She's hard at work. And then we've started putting in on this little hillside little micro swales. So little carvings into the ground on contour, and then piling the dirt on the downhill side. And then that'll help slow water as it comes down, sink it in, and water these trees. Over time, we'll expand these little swales, but right now, we're just digging them as we put in a plant. So that's a pomelo, or pomelo, however you want to call it. Over here, we've got a little bit of exposed dirt. No, we've got a cherry guava. Further up the hill, we've got a lemon, and then a plantain. And that's it for this hill. We've been scattering a bunch of seeds. Things like papaya seed, things like tamarind seeds. We've been planting mango seeds and orange seeds as we eat, like the fruit. So there's the view of the first flat so far. Continuing up, we get the second flat. There's two flats. And then all of that hill, not that one, this one, that hill is part of the property. So we got kind of a rocky, another flat here. And if we walk over this way, part of the problem that we are facing is all these little hitchhiker burr weeds. They love to attach to jeans. But down there's the first flat. And we've planted like a chayote in there. We've got some wild guava. So we're not expecting huge production off of those things, but if we get something, we get something. And here we've stuck some more mulch and another perennial peanut and a little mango tree. Actually dug that guy up from a freshly sprouted mango from a tree that we had found. Around this way, we've got a banana pup. He's so cute at that size. Hopefully he'll get so much bigger, but right now he's just small and cute. Another cliff face. So you can kind of see, because of this cliff face, the type of soil that we're dealing with. It's volcanoclastic. So it's old volcanic soil that's breaking up. And a lot of it's this like sandy, rocky, very low clay content soil. And these rocks just, I don't know if I can do it. Yeah, maybe. With a mattock I could. I can almost like dislodge that rock. This rock breaks apart super easily. And there's part of the type of soil is a inceptisol is what it's called. Incepta, coming from like inception. It's a new soil where there's no distinct horizons. So we don't have a lot of accumulated organic matter. We've just got a bunch of dry leaves and thin sticks and everything covering pretty much nothing. If we kind of have started to carve in some steps to work our way up, if I come around this way, we can kind of come under some of the growth. You can see it's really dense vegetation through here. Kind of cleared out a little trail, but this is what a majority of the property looks like. Covered vegetation, not really dense ground cover, which is kind of nice. We can make pretty easily little clearings, cut it into the hillside and plant things, and then use a lot of the vegetation as mulch. Coming back around to the second flat. From here, I'm going to try to head up these makeshift steps that I created. Then I lose the steps, so I got to make some more. Second flat from above. I got to plant some plants here to help stabilize a lot of this soil. But the second flat just kind of comes up all the way and then around. It's very comparable to the size of the first flat. It might actually be a little bit bigger. I've got some more crude steps in here. My plan is to get a carved stairway going up to the peak. I don't know how long or if we'll ever get there, but that's a prediction I'd like to make so that future people can look back and see, did we make that prediction true or not? That goal, did we meet it? We got this grassy area. Another kind of really cleared area. And kind of see if I have this level. That's kind of the slope we're dealing with. So it's almost, I would say, in some areas, a 25% grade. So we're really looking at keeping much of this forested, ideally with edible trees and everything. But in there, it gets more moisture just by the geography. So more vegetation. We start to get some of the view. There's the neighbor's hillside. Great neighbors. And then surrounding mountains. Well, mountains. Giant hills. Tiny mountains. If we go up further, eventually we'll get to a place where we get a really nice view. So I'm actually gonna cut here, and then we'll see. Let's do a hike to what is the top of the property and see what the view looks like from up there. All right, so we are working our way up the hill, up the mountain, and eventually you get to kind of like this. More grasses, thicker trees, and sheep paths. The neighbor's sheep would come through here pretty regularly, munching on stuff, and create these little trails. Ultimately, you can kind of see where all the leaves gather on these trails. I'm hoping to have that in the swales, only instead of just coming down, angling off, and then going down, it comes down, goes up, and then goes back down. So we'll see how it goes, but a lot of the property is more kind of duck vegetation where you have to duck for it and slowly work your way through because it's not cleared yet. We get a bit of vegetation that's thorny like this one. So we're slowly cutting the thorns and disfavoring them. Slowly the view starts to come into shape. But disfavor the thorns and favor the plants we do want, and the positive plants. So I'll update it as we get further up. So we've pretty much made it to the peak now, and the view, you see some other people's houses down there, next mountain, and then the main view, the rolling hills of Puerto Rico. And then hard on the video, but way off in the distance there, you can actually see water. So to answer the question, yes, we do have a view of the waterfront from our property. But functionally, no, you're not walking to the beach. So as we kind of swing around, we've got some, up here it's a lot of grasses. Pardon me as I push aside some vegetation. Our property goes down that kind of really densely vegetated cliff. And then we don't have the next two peaks. Our property kind of ends halfway up the next peak. But there's all these little mini trails coursing through here that ultimately the peak, through a lot of this brush, Well, I said ultimately a little too soon. Okay, here it is. Right here. This is the peak. From here it goes down. It actually goes down to the next rise. And then once we top off some of this vegetation, we'll have a really great view, but till then, not quite so much. So that's really an intro to the property. We're creating a list of all the fruit plants and food producing plants that we have on the property. We'll be putting that on our Jardin de Aibonito Facebook page soon enough. And yeah, we'll be posting more videos coming shortly, and as things develop and time goes on. So keep us, we'll keep you posted, and keep watching, and like, comment, ask us any question you want. This is Jardín de Aibonito.